What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Real Estate Served on the Rocks, powered by Living in Colorado, The Mile High Perspective on YouTube, and Lifestyle International Realty here in Lone Tree, Colorado. My name is Charlie Sardelli, and as always, I am here with
Jameson Amaros, and you got it right this time.
I did.
We're not downtown.
No. And guys, thanks for joining us. I don't know if you could see it on the cameras, but we finally got a snowy day in Colorado.
I thought it was just like cocaine falling from the
Right?
skies.
I
I
mean-
was like, did we bust another Venezuelan boat? But it was an airplane this time, like a 747.
It's just raining
packed.
down. Oh, I mean, yeah, I guess fresh
A
powder,
lot of
right?
sniffling people out there.
If you guys are new to the podcast, new listeners, we talk about real estate adjacent topics, real estate market stuff, while sipping and reviewing bourbon.
Yes, sir.
And on today's episode, the topic that we want to cover is President Trump put out a Truth Social post. I believe it was
Like 2 days ago?
at night, like 2 days, or like
So
really
it's probably
early.
like 3 in the morning. I don't know.
Yeah, for some reason he's
what
up
that
at 3 in
man
the
is
morning.
doing up at 3 in the morning.
But on the 7th, on January 7th, Donald Trump put out a Truth Social post. And let me see if I can pull it up so I can read it to you guys. And basically, this Truth Social post is coming out about one of the main things that he said that he wanted to work on, which was the housing market. So
affordability.
affordability
specifically.
yeah, but he says affordability is a Democratic hoax.
Okay.
So we'll
Well,
see.
yeah, if you're worth millions and millions of dollars,
So
not an issue.
he said, and that's actually where we're at. We're going to talk about that today. But for a very long time, buying and owning a home was considered the pinnacle of the American dream. It was the reward for working hard and doing the right thing. But now, because of record high inflation caused by Joe Biden and the Democrats in Congress, that American dream is increasingly out of reach for far too many people, especially younger Americans. It is for that reason and so much more that I am immediately taking steps to ban large institutional investors from buying more single-family homes, and I will be calling on Congress to codify it. Or codify, however you want to read that. People live in homes, not corporations. I will discuss this topic, including further housing and affordability proposals and more, at my speech in Davos in 2 weeks. So stay tuned, because we're probably going to do an episode on that speech. But with that being said, guys, this is huge. Regardless of where you are on the aisle, left side, right side, blue, red, green, purple, however you feel, this is something that we have been waiting to see for the last 2 to 3 years. Is some kind of federal recognition of the fact that they need to do something with the housing market.
Yep, I agree.
Right? And as always, we're going to kind of toe the line here. And what I want to do with this episode and what Jameson and I talked about is we don't want to talk about the efficacy of the claim. Like, hey, can you do this? We want to tell you what it will look like or what it could look like if it's input and put in place. Now, with that being said, it's going to be a heavy episode.
So we're going to need some bourbon.
And we are. And on today's episode, the bourbon that we are drinking, or whiskey that we're drinking today, is Stranahan's Single Malt Whiskey. JMO, you want to tell them a little bit about it?
Yeah, I mean, so if you're native to Denver, Stranahan has been a staple downtown, actually right next to where the new Broncos Stadium is going to go, since they opened in 2004, started distilling in 2006. So if you guys haven't been down there, it's actually a really cool distillery. They also have a cocktail bar, so you can go in, you can do a tasting, and they can walk you through the process. And this is a little bit different because it's a single malt whiskey, which we normally see across the pond.
Yes.
And it's more in tune with scotches than anything else. So you'll see like Scotch whiskey, so on and so forth. Stranahan's, that's all they do is single malt, and they believe they can control the flavor better. They can control the quality better. But again, they've been around since 2006. The origin story is actually kind of cool.
Go for it.
So back in '98, there was a volunteer firefighter named Jesse Gruber, and he walked outside and he went, "Oh my God, that barn's on fire! I'm a volunteer firefighter. It's time for me to clock the fuck in." So he went over and basically saved the barn from complete destruction. Right? The barn is owned by a gentleman named George Stranahan. He was a brewery owner, local, but also a whiskey connoisseur. Very similar to, I feel like we could be connoisseurs at this point, right? We're getting there.
I'm tiptoeing around it.
We just don't have the designation, right? I don't know what that entails, but anyway, we should.
We're going to do whiskey. We're going to do
it.
Bourbon Row. We're going to do Kentucky Row.
But anyway, after he said he saved the barn, and George was like, "Oh my God, thank you for saving my barn.
You saved my barn.
You saved my barn." And I don't know if there's animals in there. There could have been casualties. We don't know that part of the story.
Maybe he was doing some illegal distilling in the barn, and that's why I was happy he
We're
saved
back
it.
to Prohibition, baby.
Right? With the barn black.
They discovered that they both love whiskey and they both love the outdoors. So they got the idea together, probably from the insurance payout of the barn, is my guess, to start a distillery. And they specifically wanted to do single malt whiskey because it does tend to have a larger flavor profile than a standard bourbon and whiskey, right? So they said, okay, well, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. We're going to use 100% malted barley, which is where that malt comes in. And then they're going to use Rocky Mountain water. And I know you were doing research. I don't know if there was a specific benefit to Rocky Mountain water. I knew Coors touts that. I drink Coors. I don't think it makes a fucking difference. But maybe in bourbon it does.
Well, yeah, and honestly, it's from what I found, the benefit of Rocky Mountain water is specifically how it's actually going to help the aging process with the whiskey as it's going through.
Okay.
So the first one is an optimized fermentation process, and that's because Rocky Mountain water is high in calcium and magnesium, and actually sits at a standard pH of, it said, like 8.2.
Okay.
So it's a high alkaline water naturally.
Got it.
Which is incredible.
I think alkaline water is supposed to be good for you too, right?
Yeah, it's supposed to, like, that's why if you ever seen Smart Water or like the
they have
Vibe
the
Waters, it always says
alkaline.
pH level.
Yep.
It's because it's easier for your body to process those acidity levels
Okay, that
to
makes
get you
sense.
better hydration. But the calcium from the water actually helps stabilize the pH levels in the mash,
Yep.
which get rid of a good amount of those, like that burning and like tannin taste, I guess, especially when it comes to single malts.
Okay.
The second is going to be flavor and purity, and this one's actually pretty cool. If you guys remember, we did a whole episode on limestone, why Kentucky and their limestone water is huge.
That's why it's the breadbasket of bourbon.
Exactly. But in Colorado, the Rocky Mountain water is filtered through natural rock, which makes it typically iron-free.
Okay.
So it ensures a clean and crisp character. And the calcium enhances the sweetness of the bourbon. Magnesium helps add depth and complexity. And then they interact with the tannins in the wood to help extract more flavors, like the vanilla and the caramel.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, so it's a lot of. I love that it's not like a trope that they do, right? Like they're not saying, look at what we do, Rocky Mountain water. They don't. That's something that they have in their description,
Right.
but it doesn't play into it.
Right. So, and for all the bourbon nerds out there, right, as far as the distillation process, every bottle is aged between 6 and 9 years. And it's aged in American white oak barrels that are char 3. So one of the higher chars, right?
I love that.
Which I think is going to lend to the oaky mix of the malt. And then what they do is they cut it with the spring water to bring it down to the ABV that they want. And they no-chill filter it, which we've seen talked about the benefits of doing chill versus no-chill. No-chill tends to give you a more uniform taste as the barrels go out. The other thing about this, they're all small batch. So they don't do these in large batches. So this one is batch 271 that they've done.
It smells like sweet tea.
Yeah, 94% or 94 proof. So it's sitting right at about, what is that, 48% ABV, 47% ABV. Once they actually pull it out of the barrel, they then use small copper still tanks. And then they let it sit in freshly or virgin American oak barrels until they're ready to bottle it.
Interesting.
Yep.
So that I wonder if the virgin oak just pulls some of that char out and adds a little bit more of that fresh flavor.
It probably does. It gives it that real fresh oak flavor versus the char. So,
Okay.
I mean, it'd be interesting. Like I said, I myself have never been a huge fan of single malt whiskeys, but that was 80 episodes ago.
I was going to say, and
So-
neither have I. And since going to Scotland last year and
Right.
trying, they had me try like 20 different scotches, which thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
It opened up my
Well,
palate
and we did
significantly.
the tasting at our old place that must not be named with the Scotch distillers, and
Yeah.
I actually had a really good time.
Yeah.
Understanding the different nuances.
I mean, get your
of
nose in
Scotch.
it. Get your nose in it real fast, because I mean, you can 100% see the
Oh, yeah.
smoothness of it, and then no burn for a 94, especially compared to last week.
Yeah, and I think it's because it's 100% malted barley.
Yeah.
So that sweetness is going to take that initial burn out.
I wonder how peaty this is going to be. Like, I wonder how.
That's what I'm wondering too, because
Yeah.
they don't like the whole thing about peat is the soil, right? And that natural fermentation of the moisture. We don't have that in Colorado. The other piece of this is the scotches are usually pot stilled, This is not.
And, just right off the bat.
It's copper stilled, so it's a little bit different.
I was going to say right off the bat, when you guys used to hear Oscar say, like, oh, I want it to be bourbon, like, to me, this is like what whiskey bourbon smells like.
Also, follow up from last week's episode. How's that single nose breathing going for you?
it got me a little bit.
See, told you.
Definitely getting the vanilla.
Yep. I'm getting vanilla, maple,
caramel,
like raw maple syrup.
Yep. I'm getting some of the dryness. It's almost like apple skin, like a little bit sweeter.
Okay.
Oh man,
caramelish.
Yeah.
Right. Like that sugar is on there.
I'll tell you what, it's nice coming from the rise.
It's a complete change.
Yeah,
right?
it's nice coming from the rise.
So the nose on this, let me find it real quick, is supposed to be caramel butterscotch, vanilla, maple syrup, and leather.
Let's go. Let's go. I love it. I'm getting that. The leather is subtle, but it's definitely there.
Yep. And I'm assuming that's more from the Char 3.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
All right,
cheers, sir.
Cheers.
Let's get the bottle.
Yep, there it is. Got it. Let's see. Interesting. That is not a single malt flavor that I would have guessed.
No. Mm-mm.
All right, Stranahan's, you may have changed my palate.
Huh. Okay, that was the first sip, though. Let me get that.
It is sweet, but I get that earthy malt tone.
I think the Char 3 is saving it, dude.
I get the char. I love
Like
the char.
The char level is what's cutting the sugar more than anything. Dude, that after flavor is insane.
It's like a burnt butterscotch. Leather. I still get the leather.
Like I feel like the aftertaste of this is what the original like throat lozenges tasted like.
A little bit, yeah.
Like
Like
they
the
were
good,
just-
like the honey ones.
Yeah, they were just doing like honey and cinnamon.
Yep. Yeah. You
Wow.
got a sore throat? Bourbon.
Yep.
I mean, it was medicinal.
I was
back
going
in
to say
the day,
that.
so.
Yeah, if we
makes
drank the
sense.
Prohibition.
I don't know what is. Have you ever had table cream?
No.
Me either.
Table cream.
I don't know if that's different than like regular cream. Like if it sits on the table, it ferments differently. I'm not really sure.
Hold on, guys. Let me get us some table cream.
Yeah,
Just
can I get
places
some
it on the
cream?
table.
Well, let me put it on the table for about 5 minutes. Get some fucking table cream. All right. We do things
is that
simple.
butter?
Here.
Is table cream butter?
I don't know. You know what? Here,
Look
you
it up.
keep talking about it. I'm gonna look it up.
Anyway,
We're gonna find out what table cream
I
is.
will say that the 100% malted barley is there. I'm getting like the sour 100% in the back of the tongue, but then again, the sweetness is kind of coming up on the back end and complementing it. Is it butter?
Get it. It's like basically if half and half in whipping cream had a baby. So it's heavier than half and half, but no, wait, hold on. It's thinner than whipping cream, but thicker than half and half.
So it's,
Can be and this is what's table cream. See, look,
Okay.
we just learned something. If it's at room temperature, it stays as a liquid. As soon as you put it in the refrigerator, it solidifies. So it literally is. It's only cream when it's on the table. I guess as long as the table's not in like a fucking walk-in freezer.
Yep. It's funny because I just picture somebody sitting there with like the old-fashioned butter maker and churning butter, and they're
Like-
stopping like, wait, don't go anymore. We have to put that on the table.
Well, and we were kind of right? Like
Yeah.
if you take it out of the fridge and you put it on the table and they want some, you're like, no, good things come to those who
Table
wait.
cream.
You fucking wait. It will be table cream, I promise. So that's what it is.
Is that what is that what it has as a flavor profile?
Silky richness. Yeah, it's a silky richness. So that's what they're saying. Basically the mouthfeel.
I will give 100%
Yes.
give it that.
Yep.
I
That
will
is what
say
the
that
mouthfeel is.
this
It
feels
is
like
silky as all hell.
yes, and it almost feels like a non-filtered.
It is very on the sweet side though. So the palate, cinnamon butter, vanilla, chocolate, caramel and spice pear, which I do see that a little bit of
Yeah.
citrus, but it flows over the tongue like table cream. Melted brown sugar and finishing with a hint of cayenne, which I do get a little bit. That's that kind of
Spice.
cinnamon spice aftertaste. Rich tobacco, oak, and aged leather.
Love it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be very interested to see how this opens.
I'm not gonna lie, dude. I am pleasantly surprised.
I am
already,
too. I
Just
am
for
too.
it being a single malt.
Yeah, and I can't lie to you. A lot of the time, I felt that Stranahan's has done a phenomenal job of their branding and marketing and their bottle look. But I was of the idea that it was just that. It wasn't really, you
Right.
know. But no, I taste it. And the smoothness, like we're bringing it back, guys. Creamy mouthfeel.
Creamy mouthfeel, baby.
It was fantastic.
The notorious creamy mouthfeel
Yep.
episode.
And 82 times.
It's not as bad as no, it was creamy mouthfeel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Creamy mouthfeel. Yep.
Still odd.
All right. Well, as we talk about this topic for today, we're gonna go ahead and sip through this.
You know what's not smooth?
The
housing market.
The housing. I love it. Well, all right, guys. So, like I said, we're on today's topic for real estate. We're talking about the Trump administration's push to limit institutional investors in the housing market and stop them from buying single-family homes. And we're going to talk about kind of what they're doing, how they're doing it, and how it could be done.
Okay.
What it means. So, the first thing that I want to kind of establish and say is, in my research, currently right now, there is no standard definition of institutional investors in housing.
Correct.
And what I mean by that is there's no door limit, there's no
Volume,
there's no
dollar
volume
amount.
limit, dollar amount, nothing. There is no way that we are quantifying institutional investors at a federal level.
Yeah, I mean, historically, if you look at what people tend to break it down as, you've got trusts, local investor, smaller investor, and then mega investor.
So, and that's exactly kind of where I wanted to go with it. So before we get into
Which is hilarious because if you look at the median size square footage that they purchase,
yeah,
they're basically identical,
yeah.
give or take about 300 square feet.
Well, and the reason I say that is because we've talked about this many, many times. Since COVID, the names BlackRock, hedge funds, these names, these words have been thrown around and have been in headlines. And
Do you feel BlackRock should do like a Cracker Barrel style rebrand so they don't come off as like this black monolith
yeah,
superpower?
Well, I just think I think it's an easy scapegoat.
It is.
You know what I mean? It's look at all these people with all the money. You don't have any money. Hate them. Don't like them. And I say this like this is such a hard conversation to have with people who aren't involved in real estate because I'm not saying that BlackRock doesn't buy property.
Correct.
But what I am saying is it's not at the rate that you think it is. And historically, and even now within the last 5 years, what we've seen is giant hedge funds like that are really only accounting for 0.3 to 0.4% of the total purchases of residential units. And that's because...
I can give you the number.
Go for it.
So as of 2025, I'm going to take a little bit from True Social, right? Because Trump specifically called out and said corporations don't live in homes. Yep. So to me, that doesn't count as like a mom and pop that has an LLC, right? Or an S corp. But corporation to me is a corporation.
Yeah, but you can't.
No,
technically,
I know.
I'm a corporation.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like I think that's his intent.
Yes,
is the large corporations, right? So there's about 80 to 85 million, depending on what report you look at. 80 to 85 million single family homes right now in the United States. Okay, mega investors, aka a BlackRock, REITs, American Homes for Rent. Those giant corporations currently hold 445,869 single-family homes out of 85 million.
Yeah, I mean
that's half a percent.
Yeah,
it's 0.5%.
Yeah, it's 0.5%.
Right, 0.5%. That's what it is. And that's the number.
Yes, and so I want to kind of start out with that information, and it's hard because, like I said, it's easy for us to look at them and go, "Oh, you're buying up all these homes." Well, if you actually break it down, there's really only like 4 or 5 markets that have been heavily influenced by mega investors in that way. And we're talking about Houston, Austin, Texas. We're talking about Atlanta, Georgia. And those are like the big main 3. Where
Albuquerque,
yeah.
Again, film.
Film.
A lot of people come in. I mean, let's be honest, guys. And I apologize if you live in New Mexico. Nobody wants to fucking live in Albuquerque. Okay, we call it the Kirky for a reason. So if investors are coming in there to buy homes, it ain't because of the scenery and the quality of life.
And most of the time, what they're doing when they buy in these areas is they are buying up multiple homes. But the main point that I want you guys to understand about like these large hedge funds and BlackRock corporations, whatever, owning single family homes, is they have to manage them.
Correct.
So if you're a large corporation, you don't want to have 1, 2, 3 homes that you're managing. What you're going to do from a business standpoint is you're going to go in and you're going to buy a lot of units in one area. So then you turn that into a rental neighborhood, a rental street, whatever it is. But then as a business, you can now hire a management company to manage all of those properties instead of you having to deal with one-off properties.
So let me ask you a question. Mm-hmm. Is Fannie Mae considered a part of the federal government?
Technically, no.
But
yes,
right, the loans that they issue are backed by
yes.
the government, right? Mm-hmm. So ironically, and this is just a fun fact going back to like institutional investors in general, if you take that line of thought, the federal government is the one that created institutional large investors in 2012. Do you know why?
Why?
Because Fannie Mae came in and they had thousands of homes that had been foreclosed on in 2008, 2009. They couldn't get rid of them. So what they did for the first time is they packaged a few thousand homes together and sold them in one single transaction. And that then turned the tide to where those foreclosed homes and investments that initially only appealed to individual families and small-time investors, and all of a sudden corporations came in and said, you're packaging 1,000 homes for me, or 2,000 or 3,000 homes in a single transaction, and I can buy all of them, and that's what they did.
Yep.
So realistically, just based on history, the evolution of a institutional large quantity investor was created by Fannie Mae in 2012.
The market's going to do what the market's going to do, man.
It's ironic though, right? Because now we have the federal government going, whoa. Maybe we should stop this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, 100%.
So, Charlie, if we're talking about institutional investors, right, and the podcast we're talking about, like, the government wants to regulate them or ban them. First question, can they even do that?
No. And
second question, no, I'm just kidding.
And they can't, the reason we say that they can't do that is because the federal government can't influence states' decisions. We have a separation of state and federal law and governance, and that is a standardized part of our country. And it's the federal government can set regulations for states to follow, and they can put in place fees and fines, but they can't direct them to do a certain thing.
And the reason for that is if you look at capitalism as a whole, right, it is a free market-driven economic principle.
Yep.
So you can't have a single overarching entity go in and regulate every single state. Because
and hey, Jameson, what would that be considered?
Communism.
Hey, wow.
Goddamn commies.
Hey, goddamn
commies are coming over and they took our houses. But they don't do that on purpose because every single state is unique in its economic development. It's unique in its migration patterns. It's unique in its housing market factors. It's unique in job creation or job loss.
To your point of a free market, one reason that we are extremely lucky to be Americans is that we can form a corporation. We can form an LLC.
Bruce Springsteen. I'm proud to be an American.
We can own, as individuals, our own business.
Yes.
We can start our own LLCs. It costs you $50 here in Colorado to start an LLC. But now we are a corporation, technically, right? So the first thing that we talked about is how do you quantify what is an institutional investor? So that is going to be the first hurdle that they're going to have to overcome in Congress, because is an institutional investor somebody who owns 50 plus homes? Is it 100 plus, 500 plus, 1,000 plus? What do you consider? And then how are you going to impose?
And you don't think anybody's going to push back and be like, your limit's 1,000 doors? I own 1,057.
100%. And that's, but again, now you're talking about.
You have to delineate it somehow.
Yes. But that's my point is, before we even get to anything that Congress can do, they have to establish a baseline of what that is.
Right.
And so at what point do you guys, tell us in the comments, let me know, at what point do you consider an investor, a real estate investor, to be a institutional investor, a corporate investor? Is that a guy who started investing when he was 25 and bought his first home, and now he's 56, 60 years old, and he's built a really good portfolio for himself? Is that the guys that you want to target? Or do you really want to target people who own 100, 500 doors? Like, where is your line? Tell me, because that's going to be the first hurdle that the Congress is going to have to overcome in order to establish these things.
So here's the other piece of this too. speaking of hurdles, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the second hurdle in my head is the pushback from said corporations.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's just take France. I know I'm shouting you out, France. I don't even like your food, but we're gonna shout you out anyway. You're the GDP
You don't like
of
snails, bro?
I hate. Have you ever had snails?
Escargot.
No, you can make it sound as fancy as you want. It's still disgusting. It's like caviar. You do like the cocaine bumps of caviar. I've never understood that.
Yeah, but caviar
Fucking
is
white
fire,
people
bro.
shit.
Caviar is fire.
Yeah, it's so expensive. Though.
It is, but it's good.
Yeah, it's fish eggs. You're eating fish eggs. Don't tell Luis that. He'll probably get them at 7-Eleven. But anyway, so we have an audience member today, ladies and gentlemen, as well. A fellow agent in the office, Ben Wilson, just joined us. So he's over here watching us look like fools. But he's in the audience. We have a goddamn audience today.
Filmed in front of a live studio.
Yeah. Cue applause. Yay. Thank you, sir. France's GDP in 2024, just guess the number.
125 billion.
$3.16 trillion. Okay?
Good.
Right? Which I'm saying that for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Just give me an idea of the amount of assets under management by BlackRock is. Not their net worth, just the assets they have under management.
500,000.
$13.46 trillion.
That's insane.
So they have more asset value under management than the GDP of France, right? Their net worth, if you take off all network, operating expenses, all that kind of stuff, is $177 billion. Do you think that if this starts to go through Congress, they're going to go, you know what? You're right. I don't need that shit.
I don't need that money.
Right? So you're going to have pushback, obviously, because it's physically impossible to mandate states to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
You're also going to have pushback from these institutional investors that have literally made their living off of investing in single-family homes.
Yep.
So those are two giant hurdles that and let's throw a third option in here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think these management companies and corporations contribute to political funds?
Oh, do I think? I know they do.
Right. So do you think they can throw their weight around?
Oh, 100%.
And say, yeah, that's fine. You can do this. I'm pulling.
That's one reason why I'm very interested to see because, I mean, again, regardless of either side of the aisle, if you actually look at the donations and where money came from for the last election, I'm very interested to see how this is handled, especially with the deals that are already in place with the tech companies and BlackRock and all these other hedge funds. So I'm interested to see how they manage those conversations. But yeah, and I think that's a good starting point on kind of where they would start with this. So now what I want to talk about is how would the federal government actually influence and implement what could they do to start to affect these things? And obviously the federal government is going to take a lot of their examples, a lot of their case studies from existing municipalities. And what I found is there's one state that has begun to do these kinds of limitations.
Texas.
Nope.
Florida.
Nope.
I'm out.
California.
Okay.
So California,
the land of regulations.
Yeah. So California has put things in place that do have caps on the market. They do have checks and balances reporting that they have to do.
Yep.
So a lot of these options that Congress has is going to be based on some of those things that we've seen. So the first one that I want to talk about is Congress could set ownership limits for institutional investors, and that would be them setting a cap on the number of rental properties an institutional investor can own within a specific geographical area. That would prevent any single entity from dominating a local rental market and help maintain a more balanced distribution of rental housing.
Okay.
But now, again, what does that look like? Because where does the line get drawn, and how do you establish that line in how many properties somebody's allowed to buy? Because we've talked about this many, many times. The housing market across the United States is more geographically based than any other time in U.S. history.
Correct.
Right now. So tell me, Jameson, what do you think if they were to do these ownership limits? Do you think that they would start in areas like Atlanta, Houston, Austin, these places where we do have larger investments?
I would say yes, right? Because if the goal is to normalize the housing market, then I think so. However, the other question of this is around who does it help, right? Because if you're taking away the ability of a BlackRock or an American Homes for Rent to come in and purchase a certain amount of properties, right, for rent, because that's what they do. They don't own them and live in them, right? It's just for rent. To me, all it really does is it just opens up the door for smaller investors to come in, and it lessens that competition. So now you're in this weird space where it's like, okay, well, now all of a sudden, we limited large investors, but now the smaller investors have less competition, so they're
going to buy
gaining
up again because that's capitalism,
right?
Right.
So now, at what point to what you said earlier, where do you draw that line?
What is it? Chaos loves a vacuum,
right?
Like,
so I think it helps competition in the rental market, especially for smaller shops and smaller businesses that want to break in, and they say, okay, well, I don't have to compete with a BlackRock or an American Homes for Rent or whatever. I can go in and I can purchase more single family properties because they're limited in how many they can own,
and that's,
which is not a bad thing.
Well, no, but that's why we talked about the designation of what an institutional investor is right at the forefront, because right here, ownership cap. Is the federal government going to try and tell an individual citizen what they're allowed to own and what they're not allowed to own?
Right.
Right. And that's kind of where we start dipping our toe, and why I brought it up. If we do an ownership cap, how do you stop those investors, the mom and pop investors? Because, I mean, if you go on TikTok right now, there's a realtor here in Denver that I follow. Her and her husband, they own 3 properties now, but they're doing the thing. They're flipping, they're renting, they're selling, they're buying. So do you then go to them and say, hey, I see you're trying to make a life for yourself. Fuck off. You're not allowed to do that anymore. Right? And so, like, my question to everybody is, what level of government intervention in the free market are you okay with?
Right.
Like, that's really what it comes down to. Especially, a lot of people who voted for Trump were excited that he was going to bring things down to the state level and allow states to have more control. This is the exact opposite of that. This is the federal government stepping in and going, no, states, follow this. Right?
Yep.
And it's hard because at what point do you start to affect individual liberties that people have in a free market? That's my that's my really big worry about this ownership cap, because without a defined, clear institutional investor outline, we don't know who they're going to limit.
Right.
And so that could fall down to somebody who now relies solely on their investment portfolio. And are we punishing them? So I don't know. It's hard. I think this poses and shines light on the wealth gap, on the significant wealth gap that we're experiencing.
And what stops those companies, right? So let's say you do put in a limit, and it is a large company, and they can only buy a certain amount of properties. In my head, what stops them from just creating other companies to then buy in the same area, but they're still kind of under the umbrella, but you can fudge with those numbers a little bit? And now all of a sudden BlackRock goes, okay, well, that's fine. We're going to have a single different company in every metro area so that we fall under those limits, and we can just buy the same amount of properties because it's going to the same place. Yep. Like, it gets really like a slippery slope,
because then
as far as what that
comes
does.
down to statistics and reporting, right? And I'm glad that you brought that up, because if you guys own a small business or small business adjacent, you guys know that there was something that happened last year from FinCEN. FinCEN is a regulatory agency for corporations and businesses in the United States. And in 2024, they regulated that small business owners would have to identify their sole ownership, who's the owner of the company. And it went through litigation, it changed up. And basically the whole reason that they did this was to create a federal organization system, basically so we know what corporations and what businesses are owned by foreign outside the U.S. businesses, but then run and managed by U.S. citizens. That was a point of FinCEN. So the reason I bring it up is because we've already seen some steps towards some kind of the federal going like, we need to know what's going on here because there's too much embezzling, there's too much offshore accounts, all that kind of stuff. So I do see that we're moving towards it already, but again, at what point is too much federal intervention, right? So please tell me, guys, let us know in the comments, what do you think? So the first one we went over would be an ownership cap. Now, the second option that Congress could have, obviously, guys, there's many options, but these are kind of the top three based on current standards around the world and in the U.S. The second one, it would be local market reviews triggered by federal standards. So in this scenario, Congress would create a federal guideline that says when investor ownership in a certain area hits a certain threshold, local governments must do a review before allowing more purchases. So basically what they're saying is the federal government would require local municipalities and towns to keep a running code or agenda
Tally, yeah.
of how many properties certain LLCs, certain corporations own, and then limit them based on that.
I think that's more doable.
I do think that's more
I think
doable.
it's more spread out over all investors, because at that point, but again, you had that weird spot, right? So if it's, let's say it's just a blanket Atlanta, Georgia. Let's say, okay, if you get up over 30% of all single family homes are owned by investors, then they have to trigger a review, right? That doesn't help the competition between large investors and small investors. It helps the amount of investment homes that are not available to principal residents, resident purchasers, right? But now you're not regulating the large investors, so you're not increasing the competition between large investors and small investors. You're just kind of blanket saying, hey, we want this area that maybe is historically known for investment properties. You can't be over 35%.
Okay.
And if you do, you pull something like what what the municipalities did for short-term rentals and say, hey, you know what? We're just going to make it harder at that point, more expensive, different limitations on buying secondary residences if we're up and above that threshold, which helps the consumer. I don't think it helps the competition factor and monopoly dangers of multiple investors in the same area.
Well, and then the other thing too is, again, we're talking about how geographically based the current market is.
Right.
So I like that it would be setting, a blanket standard, but those standards don't apply evenly. You can't with the way it is right now. And we actually have a phenomenal example of this right here in our state in Colorado, Boulder.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So Boulder, for the first time in 2024, voted to allow more residential building, for 75 years.
Oh, yeah.
And they only allowed an extra, 25?
Asinine. Yeah,
something. But that's
stupid.
And so even if you have these standards, you have places like Boulder that it's Boulder. Everybody knows Boulder, Colorado. We stay out of here. This is for us. We don't want you here. And granted, they should. It's a beautiful town.
This place is for rich hippies only.
Hopefully, I can be a rich hippie someday.
Yeah, you better be wearing a peace sign and driving a Mercedes. Otherwise, get the fuck out.
Exactly. Like I know one guy from Boulder, and when I was working at Best Buy, phenomenal, like intelligent man around sound quality, high filter audio, everything. But I was talking to him, and I was like, "So why do you own property in Boulder?" He's like, "Well, I really like the people, and it's expensive now. I bought it when it was really cheap." Like, he's just flat out, I like it because my house is worth a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
It's great.
Like, what do you like? Street performers in houses.
But I say that because Colorado as a state opened up building permits and everything the same year.
Yeah.
But Boulder said,
I was like,
yeah, that's cool. We're only going to let this happen. Right? So it just goes to show that.
Was it the Pawn Stars?
Yeah.
I've got this. Best I can do is 25.
25 cents. So it just goes to show, too, that like even in a state level, we're seeing these battles happen between regulations that are set and standards that are set because the municipalities and the town people voted out. They don't want to do that.
Yep.
And I think that's something that really is going to matter here in the local market.
Sure.
In this option for the local market reviews triggered by federal standards.
Yeah.
Is it's going to create a little bit of tension and more responsibility for us as citizens in order to influence the building that's happening. And unfortunately, I don't think we're at a place as citizens right now to where we can do that effectively.
No, we're all dumb.
Well, we're all against each other.
Yep.
It's like, again, the
It's
only
like
way...
it's like walking into a fucking preschool right now.
It is. 100%.
Those are my blocks. No, actually, they're the classrooms.
They're
blocks.
all of our blocks.
No, and then that block gets thrown at a kid's head. They start crying. Parents get called. It's just a fucking mess.
It is. All right, so first one we talked about was ownership cap. About Congress can put a ownership cap on the amount of single-family homes an institutional investor can have. The second one was a local market review, where the federal government sets standards for the amount of institutional investor ownership that can be in a certain area, and then they apply that and the states use that as a guideline. Number 3, and this is where I think we would have the most success and the area that would help the market more than anything, is a federal holding period requirement.
Okay.
So this means a federal law would require that institutional investors hold onto homes for a minimum number of years before reselling or renting. The purpose is to reduce quick flipping and encouraging longer-term investment and stability in the housing market.
Yeah, see, that'll never work
Go on.
because you have something called holding costs on any property, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say, I don't know, let's say the holding period is a year. Now you're going to discourage people, which I think is the point, of buying those houses because they're going to say, okay, I can buy it, I can flip it, but now I got to pay property taxes, insurance, utilities for an extended period of time, right? So then why would I, as an investor, go and even buy that property? Okay? The reason why I don't think it works is because now you're constricting the availability of rental homes, right? Because there's people, a majority, especially if you look at millennials, with dogs. We talked about this in a previous episode, like 75% are making a decision to buy a home because they want a yard. So they look at single family rentals. Well, if you all of a sudden restrict the amount of rentals available, single family specifically, you're now driving rents up because the investors aren't going to want to hold on to those costs for an extended period of time before they can do anything with the property.
So I have a comeback for you.
Okay.
How many years in Colorado do you have to legally own a home before you can put it on the market to rent?
A year.
A year. And in the spring's 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We already have these regulations.
We do, but not if it's a secondary property. I can go out and buy a secondary property right now and rent it the next day. As a primary residence, you have to wait. But that's because your loan is backed up by the federal government.
Exactly.
Right? So in my head, I look at where the rents are going, and right now we're seeing falling rents. If you all of a sudden take a ton off of the table and you're constricting supply and demand stays the same because rates are high and people go, well, I'd rather rent than purchase because it doesn't make financial sense. Now you're just forcing those people to pay more in rent. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And this is where I guess my question here would be, would it be short-term pain for long-term benefit? Because let's say the federal government...
For who?
For homeowners, for first-time home buyers or home purchasers, right? And the reason I say that is because if we set a standard, a federal standard, that an investor has to sit on a home for a year or pay those taxes for a year before it's rented, like you said, it's going to stop investors from buying because now they can't. They can put in 50 to 100K on their investment, but now they're going to have to pay for that mortgage or whatever, the loan that they took out, the construction loan. They're going to have to pay on that and just sit on it. So honestly, out of the three, I think this is the best option because it's going to kind of put less pressure on inventory. It will allow inventory to start to grow.
I think it helps the buyers that want to finance a home. It kills the renters.
Yes, absolutely.
It just does.
Absolutely.
So let's take it a step further, right? Now you're going to have to fix inflation. And you're going to have to continue to see wage growth go up because now all those people that wanted to rent aren't going to have a choice but to purchase because now the investors aren't investing in those homes.
So now, hold on.
Increase inventory.
But here's the caveat. We said at the beginning of the episode, a lot of these larger mega corporations, whatever you want to, they're in commercial. They're investing in commercial. So is there a regulation that caps it and holds it just on single family? And then allow multi-unit?
Potentially, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if they just do a blanket single-family residence, I think that could be phenomenal.
But here's the other piece, okay? So let's take a city like St. Louis, right? St. Louis, there's areas that are just run-down properties.
Dilapidated.
Swaths, right? So if I'm an investor and a flipper, let's say, and when I flip, I'm saying I'm going to purchase a property, I'm going to fix it up, and then I'm going to sell it. So I'm going to add to the inventory. Well, if I go and I invest all this money to fix up these properties, and now I have to hold on to that cost for a year, then whatever inventory we added from people not buying ready-to-move-in homes for the supply side, well, now I'm basically de-incentivizing anybody from taking up homes that need repair or lots that need homes built on them, which that would also add to inventory. So to me, it's almost a net.
It's hard, right? Because we're at a point, and this is why I brought up the wealth gap earlier.
Yeah.
We're at a point now where we have people who are able, there's no spectrum. Like the spectrum's pretty much gone at this point.
It's K-shaped economy.
Yeah, we have people
or for those vernacularly not challenged, bifurcated.
Okay. And we have people who can afford to buy a dilapidated home, fix it up, put money into it, and be happy with it. But then we have a larger group of people who can't.
Right.
They would love to buy a home, but them just buying the house will deplete their savings, will deplete their income and their capital. So it's hard because in some areas, like the perfect example, look at here in Colorado, look at Firestone, look at Longmont area, right? Even some areas, if you look at Denver 10 years ago, it was the same thing where there were so many properties that just need 100,000 plus of work. The structure's there, and somebody could move in, but we have such a wealth gap now that even if we cut out these institutional investors, that might actually hurt inventory because the people who want to buy the homes can't buy them and then fix them up or make them livable. So if we kick out the investors that are actually adding livable homes into the market, then wouldn't that hurt? Like it's so cyclical. It's
Agreed. 100%
So
agree.
This is why we wanted to talk about the topic, and we didn't want to come at it from a place of like, oh, this is stupid. We wanted to provide actual outcomes and what could be done, because it's so nice to say on a blanket level, we're doing this, right? And it is classic Trump ideology.
Honestly, dude, I don't even think it's Trump. I think it's anybody in power that's trying to fix a nationwide problem is stuck in the same issue, right? Where they're coming up with ideas on a national level that don't necessarily work on a local level.
Well, and the reason I say it's very Trump, right, is because he knows the pain point.
Yes.
The pain point is affordability and people can't buy homes. So he puts out a Truth Social post that says, I'm directing Congress to work on affordability and knock out institutional investors.
Yep.
That's great, and it's a great headline. It's a great Truth Social post. But what are the implications of that, and what are the actual truths behind it? Because I love the fact that Donald Trump is coming out and saying, no, I'm going to stop all of these large monies from buying homes. Please do. I want you to do that. But tell me how. Right?
It's like me telling my kid, you need to go to bed, and I have a plan for that. Mm-hmm. And then 3 hours later, she's up because she forgot to brush her teeth. Her clothes weren't ready. She wanted to read a book. She heard a noise. She's scared of the light. Mm-hmm. The hallway light went out. The fan's not loud enough. My white noise isn't working. Like, I have a plan.
Yep.
There's a 6-year-old I need to make sure follows that plan.
Exactly.
And now it's up to those extenuating factors.
Dude, you just literally created the best analogy for what it is. The federal government can create all the regulations and all the things that they want, but if the individual states do not follow and or we as citizens do not implement these changes that we want at a state level,
unless I beat my kid and drag her to the to the room,
force it, right?
Lock the door.
And I'm sorry, but if you voted for Trump, you want less government intervention in states.
And so far, we've gone the complete opposite.
We have gone the complete opposite. But again, that's a different
episode.
Yeah, neither here nor there. But so please tell me, like, where do you guys see that line drawn? At what point are you okay with the federal government saying, hey, right, Johnny, you can't own more than 20 homes? Or are you okay with the federal government going, hey, we're going to give you money or we're going to take money away from you for doing this? I want to know what that limit is, because the second that we start to understand that and where the general population is, we can actually move forward and start to make some kind of distinction.
Yeah.
But phenomenal episode, dude.
Well, so here's the last thing I want to cover. The overarching question is, if we limit institutional investors, does it help the American consumer buying a house? And how much influence have institutional investors and investors in general had on the housing market? Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple things to just chew on. Number one is the capital flowing into the single-family rental sector over the last, basically since 2020. Okay, I'm going to give you some numbers. Mm-hmm. In 2020, $1.8 billion.
Okay.
2021, $34.6 billion.
Jesus.
2022, $4 billion. 2023, $0.8 billion. 2024, $2 billion. 2025, which now this is a big headline, $1.1 billion. So what happens, right? That chart to me shows that just like us, the investors are driven by the economy and the rate deal, right? So when everybody's like, oh my God, they're buying homes. So now to follow that up, people will go, oh, well, that year in 2020, they spent $34 billion. Mm-hmm. That's where our inventory went. However, if you take another chart and you say, okay, well, let's look at principal residence sales in that same time period. In 2021 or 2020, it peaked at over 4.8 million transactions. Single family primary residences. So as the investors all of a sudden started dumping money, we did too. Since then, it has dropped from home sales per 1,000 homes was 44, right? In 2021. In 2025, it's 27 per 1,000 homes. Okay. So realistically, we're following the same trend. It's not like we stopped buying homes and investors went to buy a fuck ton and that fucked up inventory. It's not like we came down and said, okay, we're only 27 homes per 1,000 are being sold. Well, that tracks with, we went from 34 billion invested to 1.1 billion invested. So that's not making a difference at all, right? And then if you look historically at the amount of homes that are owned by investors, large and small, you could own one door, you can own 2,000. The percentage over the last 20 years has hovered right at 65%. The peak was 2020 at 67% of homes were owned by single-family residents, primary residents, and the rest were owned by investors. So we've had the ratio of about a 70-30, 60-40 split between people that own homes and people that are buying them as investments forever. There has not been a change. The thing that changed was the perception because headlines started coming fast and furious. People got pissed off about the economy. Everything costs more, including home values. But if you look at the raw data, the amount of homes owned by a principal residence individual like myself, I own my home, 65% of the U.S. housing market is owned by just normal people that live in them permanently. 35% is owned by investors. Of that 35%, only 0.4 is owned by institutional investors. So the question is, has anything actually changed to increase or decrease affordability when it comes to investors? The answer, based on just those three data points, is no. It has been market factors that have driven up housing costs. It has not been investors. Straight up, and I'm going to look at the camera when I say this again, it has not been investors that have driven up home prices. Because if it was, we would see a trend where instead of 65% of homes being owned by single families that are owning them as a principal residence, you'd see a dip to 55% and to 50 and to 45%. Because the biggest argument I see is, what's the argument? You're going to rent everything and love it. That's not the case. We're not seeing the trend. As a matter of fact, over the last 2 years, the percentage of homes owned just by single families as their primary residence has increased 2% from 63% to 65%.
And now that we're sitting on the largest equity in American history across the United States, I venture to say that there's going to be some individuals that do own those primaries that are going to want to roll that equity into secondary.
Yeah.
Right?
And they will. But guess what's going to happen? We're still going to build inventory, and you still have to qualify for a loan. That's the biggest thing people don't understand. The qualification is what's stopping us from going 65% of people owning their home to 75%. It's a market force. It's not institutional. It's not like you can't go buy a house. And that number has not changed in 20 years.
This is one of those times where I wish I wasn't a realtor because I feel like my words would have more weight. Because I feel like everybody hears us talking about it and they're going, well right, of course, you're a realtor.
But the thing is, dude, there's an emotional argument.
Yeah.
And then there's a factual argument. And the factual argument should, please, guys, should always win. It just should.
It should.
Right? Well, if you feel it, yes, there's local markets. Like, I agree. If in Atlanta, right, where you have BlackRock investing 30% of their money in a single market, are you guys affected in Atlanta more than us in Denver? 100%. I have no argument there whatsoever. But if you spread it out over the United States as a conglomerate, it's the fucking same. It has not changed in 20 years. It just hasn't.
I think this is a beautiful time to move into the One Rock takeaway for today's episode.
Okay.
You want to take it? You want me to take it?
I can take it.
All right, go for it.
My One Rock takeaway.
And what is a One Rock takeaway?
One Rock takeaway is the time in the episode where we take one big thing from the episode and we just kind of try and succinctly summarize what the main takeaway we want or we took or we want you to have, right? So my One Rock takeaway is simplicity. That's the word. Everybody tries to convolute the problem. And they say, okay, well, this person's to blame, and this person's to blame, and this person's to blame, and this regulation's to blame, whatever. At the end of the day, a free market is driven by two things and two things only: supply, demand. That's it. If you increase supply, you lower prices. If you increase demand and lower supply, you increase prices. So we're throwing all this spaghetti at the wall and trying to find these different people that are quote unquote to blame. At the end of the day, we need a large amount of more housing. And the only way in my head to fix that is to loosen zoning regulations and get rid of red tape that allows developers to build single family and multifamily.
Incentivize.
That's it. There's nothing to do with investors, limiting them, none of that, influencing state mandates. It's literally we have a demand issue where nationwide we just don't have enough houses. And if it was something new because of investors, we would have had that issue back in 2016, 2012, 1998. We didn't. Mm-hmm. Same thing today. Mm-hmm. It's just how do we incentivize people to build more homes quicker so that we can increase supply? That's it. Yep. That's the answer. How we get there, above my pay grade. I have ideas, above my pay grade.
Give them a call. But give them a call, federal government.
Limiting institutional investors doesn't do shit.
It's a great headline. My one rock takeaway is recognize your power as a citizen of the United States of America. Whether you are red, whether you are blue, the federal government cannot regulate states. They cannot tell a state what to do. But you know who can?
The voters?
You, me. We can do that. And I think what we're seeing now is an entire generation, our generation of the millennials, that had the luxury of stepping back and going, you know what? I'm not going to vote. I'm not going to be involved in this.
Yeah.
Which then left that open to other people making decisions for us. And even if these regulations are set by Congress at a federal level, it is going to be on us as the people to hold our state, local government, municipalities to these guidelines. And I don't know about you guys, but when you look at a video on TikTok, Instagram of these local government meetings that are going on, there's 10 people in there. There should be 100 to 200. They should be building state buildings to hold how many people, how many citizens are in that building.
And then rent out some of those rooms.
And then rent out some of the rooms. But my one rock takeaway is get involved, ask questions, go to your meetings, go to your state and local town meetings, talk to your mayor, meet your mayor, because we are the only ones that are going to control this issue. Yeah. And for too long have we thrown our hands back and gone, it's not my thing.
Yep.
It is now our thing. And if you're worried about institutional investors, we can control it.
Yep.
So let's stand up and do it. I
agree.
Great episode.
Love it.
Great episode.
Love it.
Love it.
And we didn't get angry.
No.
Which
it was good. It was good.
A lot of times we get angry. We don't get angry.
I think this is a perfect time to move into our rock rating for today's episode. Bourbon review.
What's the rock rating?
Our rock rating is on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the best, 10 being the worst, because the more rocks you put in a bourbon or whiskey, normally the worse that bourbon or whiskey is.
Also, people, we're not talking about real rocks, okay?
Yeah,
just
ice.
Don't put rocks in your fucking whiskey.
Well, unless it's those chill rocks.
Yeah, but I feel like people will be like, "Oh, this is a pebble." They said that they said it introduces iron.
Yes, don't put rocks in your drink.
Disclaimer: do not put rocks. Don't eat rocks.
Rocks are ice. The worse the bourbon or the whiskey.
Some of you are rock eaters. Don't do
the more ice more ice you put in.
No, that's to dry out your phone when you drop it in your whiskey.
Yep,
it's very different.
All right, I want to try JC's glass.
I
will tell you just right off the bat. We talk about this all the time. For me, as we see more distilleries coming in and more people doing things and making different bourbons and mash bills and all that, it is the ability of the spirit to hold its character throughout the episode for me that really plays into it. I think this...
I don't have my tablet today.
I think this is one of the few that we've had. My first sip at the beginning of the episode is the same as now.
I don't disagree. I did get... for me, it went a little bit more charcoal heavy and leather, which I like.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. That's why I said at the beginning.
Yes, but
that
it didn't.
Standard...
I thought, honestly, it was going to go way over to the sweet side with the 100% malted barley.
But I think it blended well.
It did not.
No, that's what I'm saying. I think it held
the
its character.
Yeah,
and it blended really well throughout. Like I would say that now.
I was thinking this thing was going to open up and just be like candy.
Yeah, candy.
Yep.
And I will say now, I've swirled mine around, opened it up a little bit throughout the episode. I like this more
I still have a hard time believing this is a single malt whiskey.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is
Yeah.
this is like the definition. Like when Oscar talks about I want a
Stretch
standard.
this glass.
When I want a standard, I want it to be bourbon. Like that's what I think this is. Is like if you take a sip of it, this is sour mash whiskey, 100%. You get the sweet, you get the ash, you get the vanilla, you get the caramel. And I actually like mine open now. I feel like I'm getting more of that spice, more of that cayenne. What did JC's do? I don't know. The face is scaring me. Let me see.
I'm not gonna say anything. Just try it.
And
Pásame la
if you're a first-time
botella.
listener or viewer, when you hear us reference JC's glass, this is the glass we use as the control on our table. It represents JC sitting here.
So does that make it a table whiskey?
Table whiskey. JC's glass is table whiskey. I love it. Yeah, let me see. The nose is just straight.
Just try it.
Okay.
Just try it. Those are two different glasses.
Totally different glasses.
Two different glasses.
This one, talk about the complexity and like the
Totally different
chemical
glasses.
makeup of a drink.
Totally.
This didn't change at all,
No.
dude. This
It
is the
is
same as the first.
exact same.
The exact same as the first pour.
Yes.
And the first sip that we. That's wild.
Yep.
Oh, dude, that okay. Oh man, okay. So drop it on us, Jamie. How much is the Stranahan single malt? What is that normally looking like?
$59.99.
$59.99. Jeez. Okay, hold on. I'm not gonna lie. This one's hard for me because, like I said, I definitely had a predisposition around this.
So did I. It changed though. I mean,
Might have to try a couple more single malts after this. Let's see.
is it the iron in the rocks?
Is it the Rocky Mountain Wine?
I don't know.
I don't know. Hey, any chance that I have to boost up Colorado as a state, I'm going to do it.
And we've tasted a couple of Colorado distillers prior. Mm-hmm. To me, this is the best one, bar none. And again, I'm not a single malt fan.
Yeah.
This has changed my mind.
The only one that I would combat it with was the 4 grain from Old Elk.
Yes.
That's the only other one that I would put up against for Colorado. Now,
And I'm so mad they sold.
that's what I said. They're not Colorado anymore, so fuck no.
But I don't know if they use Rocky Mountain water.
They don't.
Right.
Not specifically.
Right.
So, yeah.
Is there something to be said for the alkalinity and the iron?
I think so, dude, because this is...
It's pure, right?
That when I think of a whiskey like that, I do this. This is what pops in my head. Okay, $59.99, Colorado-based whiskey, magnesium, calcium, high pH levels,
Half of the periodic table.
Mg2,
Yep.
whatever it is. Oh man, Jim, I'm thinking you go for it.
I mean,
This is hard, dude.
I'm gonna go. What was last week?
3.9
Last week
was the 2XL
2XO,
behind you.
and that went real sweet.
Mm-hmm. And we
I
did
think
like
we
a
were
3.7.
3.75, right? I'm gonna go with this one. A 2.75.
2.75.
Yep,
Okay.
2.75.
I'm gonna give it 1.9.
Ooh,
Yeah. I think that
it's one of the first times we've been that far apart.
it is, and only because we talk a lot about like the drinking experience and
Sure.
like being a first-time drinker. I think that this is a beautiful blend of a high-end whiskey, but maintains like the whiskey experience.
Right.
Like if somebody
agree.
was gonna say, "I want to dabble in higher quality, higher, better whiskeys," I would.
And it's attainable. You're paying $60 for it.
Exactly.
right?
I would guide them to
I do think this is more of an $80 bottle.
Yeah.
Now that I've had it, and I haven't tried any of their other small batches because they've got a bunch of different ones.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They just released their double black diamond. Mm-hmm. So for your skiers out there, that's what that is. I don't know what that looks like. I think that one's priced at $99. So I don't know the difference. I know it's a higher proof.
I like it because again, I just very rarely do we have one that one opens okay, like better or opens
it
to
opens different. Like
Yeah.
it evolves.
It evolves.
Right? It
yes.
evolves. It
Very
doesn't
rarely do we
devolve.
have one that sits for the hour or whatever
Yeah.
that
It didn't
evolves,
devolve. It evolved.
positively.
Right.
But
I agree.
also has a good first impression So
yeah,
that's
because
where-
and you guys are watching this, right? But if you take JC's glass and sip it, that's been open now for right under an hour, and then you take our glass that we've been kind of swirling around, single pour, right? It is two different experiences.
yeah, it is.
And they're both great. Like they both have their deal. That one leans on the sweeter side. You get a little more depth in the vanilla, the caramel, the butterscotch. Then you evolve into this, which is more charcoal,
It's spice.
leather, spice heavy. So you could literally have a single glass, and from the first sip to the last, I don't want to say it's better, but it's almost like a fucking everlasting gobstopper.
Yeah, it changes on you.
Right?
Yeah,
Like
100%.
if Willy Wonka created a whiskey, I feel like this would be it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
275. I'm gonna stay with 275.
I love it.
I just think we have so many bourbons and whiskeys under 1.9. However, this is one of those where you almost have to put it in its own category
Yeah.
because it's a single malt.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that's the next thing is like we go back and say, okay,
Which one's
we're gonna go single malts and rate those, bourbons and rate those, whiskeys and rate those,
I like it.
because this is just so different
Yeah.
in a good way. And I think Stranahan's did a great job.
Absolutely.
I do want to go and do an episode at the
That's it.
distillery,
Yeah, we'll do it.
but
I'm sure we can find a connection.
this
there.
is even, and again, we're different by what, a little bit under, so 0.9 points. If you guys have a chance to pick this up and you want to dabble into single malt without, and you're not a Scotch fan, this is a perfect bottle because you get a little bit of that earthy taste with the leather and the charcoal aged in the Char 3, but it's not overpowering because there's a lot of people that go, dude, Scotch, hell no.
Yeah.
Like I cannot. This is a great balance between the two.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, on that note, guys, thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Real Estate Served on the Rocks. We're extremely happy to be over 100 episodes. We're going to start the giveaway here in a couple days, couple weeks from now. So check it out. You have an opportunity to win some of our top 3 bourbons. We're still deciding on that. We're actually still putting together our bourbon list for you to reference.
Yep.
That's going to be on every episode, so you can see the average score, what it was, the flavor notes, all that kind of stuff. But with that being said, you can reach us at our own personal Instagram, social medias. You can find me at Charlie Sardelli or at Beat the Jeans Productions if you want to do anything podcast media related.
And then for me, the Colorado Real Estate Guy on all platforms, Jameson Amoros if you're searching for me on Facebook.
And you can reach out to both of us at any point in time, 24/7. Send us an email or a text message, resotr@themilehighperspective.com, or
720-584-3361.
and we will catch you guys later on another episode. Adios.
Government, stop throwing spaghetti at a wall. Doesn't work.